With the firings of Taylor Jenkins and Mike Malone in Denver, should the Washington Wizards make a change at head coach? Well, we're going to talk about it next on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Brandon Scott again, aka BScott, with my guy Abdullah, aka AB. We are both credentialed members of the NBA media and your hosts here at Locked On Wizards. We have a lot to talk about tonight. The Wizards did lose a close one in Indianapolis, 104-98, but their young talent was in full display, and that could be one heck of an environment for a new coach to come into. But is change needed in the 202? We're going to answer that. Should Alex Starr be in the conversation for Rookie of the Year? That's another conversation to have. And then we're going to get into comments like we always do. So, AB, a lot of news around the league, man, as far as firings of coaches. But not only coaches being fired, but coaches who have winning records and they're part of teams who have playoff prospects. Mike Brown, Sacramento. Taylor Jenkins, Memphis. Now, Mike Malone has been fired as long with the GM over in Denver. So, AB, seeing all three of these coaches that have been fired, and they all have winning records when they were fired, they all have playoff, if not championship experience. Should the Wizards look to make a change at head coach, or should they stay pat and stay with what they have in Brian Keefe?
Again, to me, the whole Mike Malone firing was very, very shocking. Not too long ago, won a championship, and now you find when they're forcing the Western Conference. To me, it's mind-boggling, along with those other guys you mentioned. But I don't think so. You don't hire a new. You stick with Coach Keefe. Again, the man who has shown on his resume that he's done it, and the plate that he was given when he was a head coach to now, it's been a lot. But now in year 3, we hope to see that improvement. So I think it just doesn't make any sense to bring a guy here who obviously won in Denver, but think about it. Denver has one of the greatest centers of all time. You have Jamal Murray, a really good point guard. You got Michael Porter Jr. They have so much talent, and just because you think Michael Malone's going to come here, you're going to automatically get 50 wins. It's not about that. It's about what you have right now, and you develop it. And I think Coach Keefe is the guy. So I think fans, or a lot of people that think that bringing in a guy like Malone, Jenkins, or Brown, that just suddenly the Wizards will be winning again. To me, it's kind of blasphemy, and I think staying with Coach Keefe is the right move.
I'll say this. At first, you want to say yes, right? You definitely want to add a coach with a caliber coach in Mike Malone, who, again, led the Denver Nuggets to a title. Taylor Jenkins got a lot out of the talent in Memphis, and Mike Brown, if you look at his track record, I think all three coaches could definitely be good coaches, but there's a couple of factors you have to look at. And like I said, at first, you want to say yeah, because Mike Malone, again, championship experience. If you look at what he's done with the defense over in Denver, not only him, but don't forget, former head coach Wesley Sell Jr. was part of that process of bringing the defense over in Denver. But I'm gonna say no. And I know a lot of people are like, B. Scott, why? And I'm gonna tell you why. There's 2 reasons why. Number one, the grass isn't always greener. Okay. If you look at certain coaches like Doc Rivers, team after team have continued to say, all right, he has success here, he's going to have success here, right? They go off of the fact that he won the title with Boston Celtics. He goes to the Clippers, and what happens? He's notorious for having late 3-1 deficit losses in playoffs, man. Then he moves on to this team. He moves on to the 76ers next after that. And then now he's in Milwaukee, and he hasn't found that same success. And you got to say, oh, you got talent there. But it's not always green. The grass isn't always green on the other side. Number 2, would they want to come here? I mean, we are still early on in the process. And I know a lot of people want to add, but does the acquisition of a coach like Mike Malone automatically make us that much better? We are still early on in the process. There's a lot of reasons to say, we still have probably 2 to 3 years before we are a legitimate playoff team. We still got a lot of evaluation to do. We still have a lot of development to do. We still have to evaluate who's really part of the future, because look, we run out of spots. We have a lot of young talent, but you can't play everybody, and you still have to find veterans. You still have to, find ways to pay certain people like Jordan Poole, who, if you want him to be here long term. So there's a lot of decisions need to be made before we get to that point. Like I said, at first it's like, okay, yeah, let's roll. Let's get Mike Malone here. But like I said, that doesn't equal success. Like I said, I do think he would be a good coach here, but when we're ready to make that step to be a playoff team, I think that's when he could be a good coach here. Right now, we are still earning the early developments of a rebuild, and he would, it goes to my 2 points. Would they want to come here? And I'm gonna think no, because not every coach that comes from a contender who has playoff experience, wants to go to a rebuilding team. Doc Rivers has never gone to a rebuilding team outside of his time in Orlando. I mean, every stop along the way has been a contending team. Phil Jackson been notoriously known as a coach who refused to go to a rebuilding team. You can't use Chicago because, yes, he was part of the staff. And I'm trying to think of the coach he had out there, but when he left the Lakers, it was because they were losing Shaq. They knew that they had to go through a rebuilding process, if not a reboot, man. So he's been known to be a coach who does not want to be part of a rebuild. Not every coach, looks at it like, oh, here's an opportunity. Here's a young core. No, they want to be part of a team that is, that all they need is the next step, which is head coach to right the ship and lead them to a championship. So I don't think they're going to want to come here. And I think that, again, is it really going to make them better right now? I think that I made it known that I compared that, Brian Keefe to Brett Brown, which was a good development head coach for the Philadelphia 76ers in the early parts of the rebuild. And you give him an opportunity now to prove that he can be that guy. And if not, when it's times, when we're looking to go over that hump to be a playoff team, you make that move. So that's where I'm at, AB.
Yeah, sorry, but can you hear me?
Yeah.
I just feel like, again, I agree with you. Malone, what it just wouldn't make sense right now. You come off a championship not too long ago. I get it. There's young talent here, but you just don't want to go through that process. And I think he's going to land a job, definitely, but it wouldn't make sense for the Wizards to go after him. I think stick with Coach Keefe. I think he deserves it. I think he's going to be the coach when this team starts winning.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, at first glance, you want to say, yeah, but you can't rush the process, man. And that's what I'm saying, that I get it. It's hard being in a rebuild. I get all that. You want them to make the right moves, those major moves right now to become a better team. But we did that already. We did the build from the middle. This would have been a Tommy Shepard move. Tommy Shepard would have made a move. And it's not to say that Mike Malone wouldn't be a great coach. He would be an immaculate coach, but it's the wrong time for him to step in. If you look at Brian Keefe, man, BK, this is his first full season as a head coach. He comes in with a great developmental record. And, a lot of people made a comment. Shout out to my guy, Wiz Takes. He makes a valid take, which is, why not revert him to an advisor role and let him be the developmental coach underneath the staff of another coach. And I get that. But then what message are you sending? What message are you sending other coaches or players who you're not even giving them enough time to see what he can do? Look, coaches talk. And if you're going to fire a guy 1 year into his coaching tenure, man, this is the wrong message, in my opinion. I think you give him a chance. Now, when I say give him a chance, you give him next year. After next season, if you're not seeing improvement in the defense, after next season, if you're not seeing improvement as far as the culture, the standard, how they play on a consistent night, every night basis, then you start to think, all right, should we maybe make a change at head coach? Maybe. But you give him some time, just like you're giving the time to the front office. That's why you're giving the same amount of time you're giving to this young core. The whole process needs time. Head coach, front office, the players, everybody is relatively raw in this process. Will Dawkins, first-time general manager, and he's already proven that he's probably a better general manager than the last two we've already had. I mean, the players, these guys are still relatively raw. You see high potential, absolutely, but look, man, Sarr looked good tonight, but he's still raw. He is far from being a finished product. And it goes back to head coach, is that give him an opportunity to show that whether he can do the job or not. 1 year is not enough, especially when you have, a roster where, like last season, where half of the year you're trying to evaluate and bring the trade value up on veterans and then still see what you have at young guys. That's a tough situation to start your coaching career in, man. And then, like I said, he's known to be that development assistant coach is different than, running your own staff, man. So I think they definitely give him another year. And then once you get into year 5, AB, if you want to make that change, if he hasn't played, coached up to the level you want him to coach or motivated the guys to the level where you expect, then you make the move. Is that kind of where you're at, AB?
No, definitely. Again, you talked about it. Coach Keefe has shown why he can be the guy that can lead this team to a championship. And again, we mentioned Mike Malone. I just think right person, wrong time. I just don't think right now it fits our timeline. So I'm full confident in Coach Keefe, and it's going to be interesting to see how the Nuggets handle this. Because losing a coach like Malone, I mean, the players loved him. So to see from their point of view how they'll do down the season in the playoffs, it's going to be an interesting point to see how they react to probably their favorite head coach getting fired.
Yeah, I agree 100%, man. I think that you give him time because I think that he's shown that he has set a standard, he set a culture, and you can't pit everything on him. There's certain things where you can say, okay, but overall, this is a situation where everybody is still developing. Look, even player-wise, Jordan Poole's still developing. He's still learning to be a leader underneath guys, like Chris Middleton, Marcus Smart. He's still developing. If you look at the front office, they're still figuring out who they are as an organization. You're starting to see what Dawkins put his stamp on his front office. And that's what I'm saying. From the front office down to the coaching staff, down to the players, man, they are developing. And that it's too early to really say whether you're ready to fire somebody. He's only been a head coach for 1 year, man. Give him the opportunity. Because, again, if you fire him, what message are you sending? That you're expecting automatic results? Then what's the point of a rebuild? The point of a rebuild is to progress steadily over time. Over the course of the first 3 years, you want to see steady progression, right? Not just from the players, but from the front office and their moves, right? How they're constructing the team and the coaching staff. Give him the opportunity to implement that defensive system, man, because this is not the final roster. We still have a lot of moves to be made, a lot of choices to be made. So definitely, I think they give him another year. And then after another season, man, once you go into year 4, if you have not seen what you want to see, then you make a move. But right now, I stand pat. So, like I said, I think we definitely both in favor of keeping him around for a little bit and further evaluating Coach BK. So, Alex Sarr, another good game tonight. Should he be in the conversation for Rookie of the Year? He thinks so. So we're going to chop up to that. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by Betterhelp. This show is sponsored by Betterhelp. Taking care of your mental health is just as important as taking care of your physical health. But traditional in-person therapy can be expensive, often ranging from $100 to $250 per session. That's where BetterHelp comes in. With online therapy, you get quality care at a price that makes sense, saving you time and money. Therapy isn't just for life's toughest choices or moments, that is. It can help with everyday stress, learning how to set boundaries, or developing positive coping skills. Having access to support when you need it can make a big difference. I'm not just putting it out there. I'm somebody who is definitely capitalized over therapy. As you get people to know that I'm former military, served in Iraq, having my fair share of issues over my years. And like I said, for a long time, I actually kind of looked down on counseling, man. But then I took that step and actually talked to somebody, man. I was actually really, really turn my life around. And then look, all the better for everybody involved in my life, man. Like I said, so I definitely recommend talking to somebody, and BetterHelp is definitely that first step. Your well-being is worth it. Let me tell y'all. Visit betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp. HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. BetterHelp, y'all. All right, AB, let's get back into this thing, man. So Alex Sarr recently made comments that he believes he should definitely be in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. So, AB, do you agree, disagree, and what factors hold him back from being that finalist?
No, man, I definitely agree. I think at one point after Jared McCain went down, Sarr was the main guy leading the way for Rookie of the Year. I mean, tonight, look, 20 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 blocks. We talk about it, needing to be more aggressive, double-double. Love to see it. And I think for Alex Sarr, I think he would be leading if he just didn't get hurt. Unfortunately, there was that stretch of games where he just out with injury. And I get it. It's your rookie season. You want to win that Rookie of the Year award just to further on your NBA career. But at the end of the day, it's all about improvement. I mean, the second half of the season compared to now, he's gotten way better, being more aggressive, being more consistent. Ever since that Denver Nuggets game where he scored 34 points, he's really been on a roll. And offensively, he's been a menace, and defensively, with 3 blocks. I mean, you love to see that. So it does suck. I just don't think he's going to win. I think it's still going to go to Stephon Castle, but in an ideal world where he didn't get hurt, he would have wanted. But now you got to keep your eyes on MVP. That's the bigger award in the future for Alex Sarr, who at some point is going to be considered a top 5 tops in center. It's just in due time.
Yeah, definitely a finalist. I think he should definitely be in the top 3. You see a lot of talent coming out of quote unquote weak draft, and you got all, looking at the Wizards, as far as the impact of this draft for them overall, 3 high impact rookies in Keyshawn George, Bob Carrington, and Alex Sarr. But Alex Sarr, should he be in the conversation for Rookie of the Year? Absolutely. I think when they look at these awards, man, they should look at the situation, their impact in those situations. Stephon Castle, is he really having an impact on San Antonio? I mean, he's played well. His production's actually dipped. But when I look at how important he is to the team, Alex Sarr to me is more important with what his impact is, because the chemistry, has gotten better with him playing well. I mean, he's gotten better every single week. Yeah, Summer League was bad, and people were ready to write him off after that, and I thought that was crazy. But he's gotten better, and he's still raw. Look at how he's playing. He's playing to his draft position. I mean, yeah, you call it a weak draft, but he's playing as a number 2 overall pick. He's playing well. He has gotten better every single week. But is he a finished product? No, he needs to be fine-tuned. He's got 2 years at least till you're going to see somewhat of a finished product. And you probably say that may be too soon. I mean, he still has ways to go, especially when it comes to his impact in the paint. He definitely has to have more impact in the paint than he does in the perimeter. I think that he kind of sits, ball watches on defense. He kind of is very dependent on being on the perimeter. I like to see him post up more. Bach definitely has to work on, boxing out, man. Tonight, again, you saw times where you had 2 guys who were shorter than he was, box him out, and he's got to work on boxing out. At 7 foot tall, you should be dominating that paint, man. And I get it. You definitely want to see him add a couple, 5-10 pounds of muscle, add some strength. I think he will be better next year. And like I said, I think he's a star. I think that Alex will be a future all-star in this league. I think he just needs to work on his game, and I think he will. Like I said, high character, being coachable are one of the hallmarks of the personalities of these guys that Will Dawkins is bringing in. So I'm with you, AB. I'm definitely think that he should definitely be in the conversation. But I kind of was just touching base on it, man. For him to kind of kick it in the next gear and take the next step, man. I mean, what areas do you personally kind of want to see him kind of progress in?
Just be more aggressive inside paint moves. I want to see him dominating the paint. I think with his frame, a post hook, drop step, stuff like that. Obviously, I like it to shoot it from 3, but if that 3-point shot isn't going in, don't settle. Take it in. Pick and rolls, pick and pops with him and JP, him and Bub Carrington. I think with these next couple of years, he's going to develop that game. And to me, I think if he does, with hopefully a better touch around the rim, I think 3-level score, I think it would be impossible to guard. It'll be, especially at his, like I mentioned, 7 foot, 7'1". It's going to be difficult. So I can't wait. He's already there defensively with that upside. So offensively, once he keeps getting consistent and becomes more aggressive, limits the turnovers, just needs to can't let the smaller guys box him out. I think he'll be just fine.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the short answer is yeah, I think he will be just fine. I think he will figure it out, but he does need work, and that's okay. We're in a rebuild, right? So he's in the perfect spot to develop. I want to see his game start from the paint on out. I get it; he can stretch the floor from 3 in mid range. He can put the ball on the floor at certain ways, but look at his offense in the paint, man. I mean, he sits on the perimeter so much, and at 7 foot plus, you want to see him post up. I want to see him post some more, play with his back to the basket more. He's shown a lot more touch around the basket, so you definitely, continue to improve in that fashion, man. Need more aggression, need more strength, but I think he will get there, man. Defensively, you see rim protection potential, but there's times where he does ball watch, and there's times where, you don't see that motor all the time. I noticed tonight there was a couple of Miles Turner 3 shot, man, and, he didn't really close out. I want to see a lot more aggression. I do on both sides of the ball from him. I think that if you can add some aggression, I think that, I made it known. Bring Kevin Garnett in here. Bring Rasheed Wallace in here. Bring Ben Wallace in here. Bring somebody in here to work with him, man. Definitely, these vets, in Jordan Poole, Chris Middleton, and Marcus Smart, I would like to see them kind of push him. Because Jonas Valanciunas, now Sacramento King, was a guy who was known to push him in practice, man. Really try to toughen him up. I'd like to see a lot more aggression. I think a lot more aggression will pay dividends for Alex Sarr, man. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think he will be an all-star. I think he's going to be special in this league, but he is far from a finished product. But should he be in the conversation for Rookie of the Year? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because, again, I think it goes down to impact. What impact does Reese Shea really have with the Atlanta Hawks? I mean, he's to me, the most impact on their respective teams right now is Alex Sarr with the process that Washington's at. So, AB, before we get into the comments, brother, you want to cover anything else, man?
I was going to say, to me, till this day, I still don't know why Reese Shea was picked over Sarr. I guess maybe fit with Atlanta in their situation, but I still think Sarr is going to be a better player. Reese Shea is nice. I saw the other game. He had like a nice game when he barely dribbled. But I think when it all comes down to it, obviously you got Jared McCann. You got Zach. I think Alex Sarr, with his defensive upside, offensively, he's going to get better. I think he's going to be the best player coming out of this draft.
I can tell you now, man. I mean, Alex Sarr pulled that Eli Manning. I mean, if he didn't make those comments about Atlanta and preferring DC, he's probably Atlanta Hawk. Because look at their roster construction in Atlanta. They need a guy next up after Okonkwo and Clint Capella. He would have been perfect because they would have been able to move on from Clint Capella and or Okonkwo, man, and kind of have a fresh start as starting center in Alex Sarr. So I think he could have fit them long term, but he fits here better. I'm just saying. So I think that had a lot to do with it, because if he didn't come out with the comments saying he preferred DC over Atlanta, then we probably have Reese Shea on our team, or we have Donovan Clingan, depending our needs, man, which I felt like center was a big need for us. So that's the big reason. But like I said, we definitely got the right guy, man. I'm a big fan of Alex Hart. I think he will definitely be a star in this league. It's going to take some work, but he is definitely heading in the right direction. So, all right, everybody, we're going to get into the question of the night and comments. But before we do, tonight's episode is brought to you by Robinhood Gold. With Robinhood Gold, you can now enjoy the VIP treatment of receiving a 3% IRA match on retirement contributions. The privileges of the very privileged are no longer exclusive. With Robinhood Gold, your annual IRA contributions are boosted by 3%. Plus, you also get 4% APY on your cash and non-retirement accounts. That's over 8 times the national savings average. The perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. No gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood Gold or Robinhood.com/gold. Sorry about that. Investing involves risk, though. Rate subject to change. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years, though. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Over 8 times the national average savings account interest rate claim is based on data from the FDIC as of November 18th, 2024. Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. All right, everybody. So like I said, I see, people are getting in the comments about tonight's content. So the question tonight for everybody in the comment section and just the comment section for the video overall is, are you ready to move on from Brian Keefe, or do you think we still give him more time? So definitely let us know in the comment section. All right, everybody. Like I said, as I always say, definitely appreciate everybody taking time out of their night to rock with us tonight, man. So Sugar Biz One, my guy, was good, man. He started the conversation. He says, hire Mike Malone now. Denver is giving him away. AB, we already covered it, man. But I guess I'll ask you this, man. Why do you think people are ready to move on so relatively quickly from Brian Keefe? You think that there are reasons why people should be skeptical about?
Yeah, I think obviously, on the court, defensively, getting out rebounded by a lot of NBA teams every night. It does play an effect. 2-win game improvement, 15-17 right now. Hopefully a little more, but you just have to understand the process of what the Wizards are going through. It's just you build these young guys, you get this young core. Eventually, you'll see that improvement in year 3 where you want to see 25 to 30 wins. And I get it. Mike Malone, that resume is amazing. Development of some of the key players in Denver, winning a championship. You want to bring that to DC, but I just feel like, again, right person, just wrong time.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, you can't take anything away from Mike Malone, man. I mean, he's a heck of a coach. And I think he would bring us a championship, but wrong time. I think right now you're still in evaluation mode and you still see what you have in Brian Keefe. And then, like I said, if you want to take that step, year 4, you take that step. If you want to retain him, still bring a guy in, I think he's still a great basketball mind to have around, man. I think you keep Brian Keefe around. But like I said, give him another year at least. Sugar Biz One also says, oh, snap, BScott read my mind. Indeed, brother. He says, come visit me, section 406, Disability Zone tomorrow. Absolutely. You already know, man. Matter of fact, yeah, I'm gonna hit you offline, man, and I'm definitely going to holler at you tomorrow at 406, man. So definitely remind me tomorrow. I would love to chop it up with you, man. So like I said, anybody's gonna be at the game tomorrow, definitely let your boy know, because I love to chop it up with you and just say what's up and chop it up with you guys, man. So definitely appreciate you, Shug. All right, guys. Lock the Law has a good comment. He says, I'm not blaming the coach for the players being inconsistent. Yeah, you can't blame them all the way, because it's kind of like a parent, man. You set the standard, you do all the small things as a parent, man, but your kid still has to go out there in the world and find their way. And they always say, what, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. I mean, you can set and hold a standard all you want. These guys still have to go in the court and produce. And if they're inconsistent, yeah, you can yell, you can do all these other things, man. And this is where being a motivator comes in. But I think that, you can't blame him all the way for that, man. You can't. They've been inconsistent. Even though you see a lot more fight, it's been Jekyll and Hyde all year, man. This has been a stretch of 3 games where you're like, okay, it's clicking. And then they'll have 162 points on the board, man. It's like, good Lord, where do we go from here? So I agree on that front. AB, do you agree, disagree, man?
No, I love the saying, you can bring the horse to water, but you can't make it drink. I live by that. There's only so much you can do. You can hold someone's hand, but they have to be the one to go out there and take action. So I agree. I think Coach Keefe with time is going to be that guy that can lead his team to a championship. And I get it. Like the Wizards, they're not winning a lot. But think about it. Not too long ago, this Wizards team just got blown out by, I think, 50, 40 points by the same Indiana Pacers team. And tonight, they played well. It was a hard-fought game and did well in that first quarter. Just couldn't capitalize in second, third, or fourth. So it's just going to take some time. But you just have to be patient. And we're going to have options. And that's the great thing. We haven't had this here in so long in DC.
Yes, options are a beautiful thing, man. Good Lord. So real quick, Shook Biz One says that's locked on. That's the locked on. I know was starting to think you losing your touch. And Locked on says this. And Locked on Law says I think Brandon is getting tired of my negativity. No, man, not at all. We all value commentary, man. So continue to do your thing. Like I said, this platform we thrive on having every possible perspective and take, man. So keep doing what you're doing, man. Nah, do your thing, because I know it's all in good taste, man. Like I said, I know you're not on here just to be a troll or just no. I enjoy having you on here. Definitely appreciate you taking time to watch the show, man. So keep doing your thing, brother. Let's see, guys. I gotta be selective, my people. So definitely rock with you guy, man. We got a few people that want Mark Jackson. My guy said, Shookbiz One says, give him the money, he'll come to DC. Also called Mark Jackson. For some reason, a lot of teams are very hesitant to to hire Mark Jackson. I felt like he was a decent coach in Golden State, man. I know, people say he was highly religious. It kind of rubbed people the wrong way. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. I don't think that's the reason. I don't think that should be a reason. But he did well in Golden State for the early part of Stephen Curry's career, man. AB, I mean, what do you think holds teams for entertaining the idea of hiring Mark Jackson?
Honestly, I'm still trying to figure it out. I thought he was a good coach. It was the early on days in Golden State. Steph was young. That team was young. That team started. It was like the beginning stage of a dynasty. So I don't know. Maybe there's something internally that we just don't know. I mean, the whole religious thing might play in. I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe the game has moved on and his play style might be a little too different in today's modern NBA. So it's going to be interesting to see. I love him as a commentator. Greg seems like a great guy as well. So I just don't know if he'll ever get hired again, though.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't hope that's not the reason, because I don't think there's a valid reason. But I mean, you just never know. I mean, I'd love to be a fly on the wall, man. Some of these locker rooms, man. At certain moments, I'm just being real. But a lot of the conversation, a lot of the decision making, these kind of what I was to learn too. Let's see. Link was good. Says only gripe with Keith is his rotations, but it's because of the tank and trying to develop guys at the end of the bench. If you look at the plays being run versus Weston Still Jr., they're a lot better. I agree. You see, I mean, as far as plays, you see a little more. But to me, it's the motivation, is the standard, it's the holding them to a standard. You didn't see that with Weston Jr., man, and you see that with Brian Keefe. So that big reason why I say, you hold pat to what we have already. Because I said 1 year, I don't think is long enough to really evaluate head coach right now. Madrox was right. Says Malone and Jenkins aren't going to Washington or Charlotte. Absolutely beneath them both at this particular point in time. Might be able to get Willie Brown or Jamal Mosley, but that's about it. But even then, AB, and I'm gonna get your take, man. But even then, to me, Willie Green or Jamal Mosley wouldn't exactly be upgrades. Like, I believe they came. If I'm mistaken, Willie Green and Jamal Mosley both came in the same year we hired Weston Still Jr. So, I mean, they were first-time head coaches too. So, what do you think, man? Would either one of them be upgrades?
No, I see your point, and I don't think so. I think I get it. This Wizards team, they haven't been winning, but stick with the guy that you brought in. Again, his year one. Look at the first half of the season compared to the second half of the season. That first half, Coach Keefe was dealing with developing these young guys, plus upgrading these veterans and their trade value. So now it's all about the youth movement now. So I just for me, it just doesn't make any sense. And I get it as a fan who wants to see his Wizards team win. They want to win now, but it's just gonna take some time. And I get it. We've been waiting for a while, but I think they're doing it for the first time, or the right time, for the first time in a long time. So you just got to be patient.
Gotta be patient. All right, let's see. Link says, thank you for your service, Brandon. Hey, thank you for saying thank you, my brother. Appreciate you. Let's see. Lock the Law says, Bud was shooting like a private who can't sight his rifle. I like it. I like that. Let's see, guys. Dan284, my guy says, could AJ be a future starter? That's a tough question. I think he's got the ability to do so. All depends on roster construction. I think the best fit, if you still have Jordan Poole and Bob Carrington on the roster, is that six man is the best spot for him, being that microwave scorer off the second unit, because he can play both guard spots. I mean, I think Bub and Jordan Poole should be the backcourt right now. And obviously, in the next couple of years, some decisions need to be made. They could retain them both, but they could also shop one of the two. So, but I think that really depends on roster construction. AB, what do you think, man? You think AJ can hold it down?
No, I definitely think so. Again, it all depends on the roster moves that they make. But AJ Johnson has shown flashes. He can shoot it. I mean, his ability to go to the lane with anyone can take it to the cup. And defensively, he's there. So athletic. I could definitely see him be that 6-man role. And the fact that we got him for basically a bag of pennies on that trade deadline just not being talked about enough. And I know a lot of people outside of Wizards fans don't really know who he is, but they're starting to get to know his name, at least as he on social media. So it's going to be exciting to see what AJ Johnson, whatever his role is, though, I definitely know he's going to make an impact.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. AJ Johnson was definitely the star of the show in that trade, man. Nothing against Chris Middleton, but AJ Johnson was definitely the headliner, in my opinion. TD Elmar, man, how you doing? Says, why move for BK? He's doing what needs to be done. The players are developing well under him. They have improved week to week. They lost about 60 to the same Pacers. Tonight they fought. That's a good take. I mean, I agree with that. He's getting a reaction out of it, man. I mean, I don't think it's on him. I think it has a lot of factors. They're still early on in the roster construction. They're still early on in building that chemistry and that culture. I think it's way too soon to really, really judge BK, man. I think you give him time. And I get it. It's too easy to say, oh, man, go out there and get that Mike Malone, man. I mean, go get him. I get all that, man. But like I said, trust the process because we're definitely heading in the right direction. DMO19 or Demo19, my bad, brother. He says, I just saw a clip of Austin Rivers saying the Wizards are the one team that Flag should avoid.
Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, I don't know if we're going to talk about. I don't understand, man. I don't understand why the hate, bro. We have a young core here.
You know what? The former Wizard Austin Rivers, the guy who Daddy had to get him a roster spot in LA. He talks out of the side of his neck, and he's just one of those guys where he's a legend in his own mind. That's just where I'm at. I mean, you want to trash the very team to give you an opportunity. DC ain't the reason why you didn't succeed. So now it's just he's a hater, man. He's one of those guys where he likes to say things to get views, and he's always talking out of the side of his neck. So it is what it is. Dan T4 kind of echo that sentiment. Rivers is a hater on so many levels, not just with the Wizards. Yeah, he's a professional troll. He just happens to be a former player. And he used to play here. Let's say, like I said, we gave you the opportunity, so I would pay him any mind, man. Like I said, he's just one of those guys where if it wasn't for Daddy, he probably wouldn't have been in the NBA, in my humble opinion. Let's see, and I think that's about it, man. Yeah, that's going to be about it, guys, tonight. Like I said, tomorrow the Wizards are back home against the Philadelphia 76ers. So your boy BScott will be there covering the team for you guys. So I definitely will be in the post-game press conference. So we will be going live the day after. So we'll be going live on Thursday night. So let me pull up the schedule real quick because we got some special guests coming up this week, man. So AB real quick. Let's see. Oh, I'm gonna let you kind of respond to this, AB. It says SBH 2345 says Austin Rivers was one of the worst Wizards I can remember, almost on Johnny Davis level. I'm gonna let you have this one, man.
I don't think Austin was that, but I get it. He's been hating recently, but I'm not gonna lie, guys. I was a big high school mixtape guy. Austin Rivers had probably one of the nicest and nastiest high school mixtapes, but in the NBA, I think he was solid at one point for the Clippers. He at one point was also considered the Wizards killer when he was playing against Washington, but him hating to me just doesn't make any sense. He thought Charlotte should be a team that Cooper Flag should consider over Washington. I don't know. Charlotte's, if you really want to how could you make the argument that Charlotte isn't or is a better place than Washington? I think they're more dysfunctional because they have some talent, but again, just losing in LaMelo Ball. A lot of people don't want to talk about it, but he hasn't played, I think, 50 plus games his whole career. So it's going to be interesting to see. But guys like Austin Rivers, let's just give anyone a mic and they'll say what they want, especially since they play in the NBA.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. He says things just to get a reaction out of people. I don't think anybody really listens to what he has to say. All right, so real quick, everybody. Tomorrow night, again, the home finale, 7:00 tip off. So I will be there covering the team at the post game press conference. So we'll be going live on Thursday. But on Thursday, I'll actually be also interviewing rapper Big Pooh from the DMV, man, from the rap group Little Brother. Come on now. So they got their final tour happening. They were going to be running through the DMV. So I'll also be putting out information for the final tour for the rap group Little Brother, man. So if you're not a fan of LB, definitely consider it. So we got the interview tomorrow, but we will also be doing the recap on Thursday. Not the interview tomorrow, but on Thursday. So we'll be releasing that interview on Friday night. And then Friday night, we also have Facts and Staff on the show, man. So we'll probably be releasing that video on Monday because we do have a game on Friday. So like I said, a lot of content coming your way, and obviously we're going into the off season, so we're gonna get draft heavy. We're gonna start out with some grades though. We gotta grade these guys, man. So we're gonna get into the draft, and look, looking for that number 1 overall pick, guys. So definitely looking forward to content. And like I said, question for you real quick, AB, from Justin Caesar says, hey, yo, Abdullah, are you going to be on the show next season? Come on, let everybody know where you're going to be at, man.
Thank you for paying attention to me, Justin. I appreciate it. But yes, I will be here. I'm here for a long time coming. I can't wait for this Wizards team. This is just year 2 of the rebuild going into year 3. I can't wait. We're going to be talking about this team when they're contending. And when they win the championship, it's going to be all worth it. All the trolling, all the negativity from Locked On Law. It's going to be worth it. I'm telling you, man.
Yes, sir. You guys are looking at your dynamic duo for years to come. So definitely looking forward to working with my guy, AB, man. It's been a pleasure already, man. But we got a long time ahead of us, man, to put out some high-level content. So, all right, everybody. We will catch you guys Thursday, man. Like I said, we're going to do a live recap for tomorrow night's game. And then we'll have an interview on Thursday night with rapper Big Pooh, but we're going to release it Friday. So, like I said, a lot going on this week, but definitely appreciate you guys. All right, everybody. Hail to the Wizards and peace.